Wake up, everybody, because this week's PlayStation Showcase brought us a smattering of new... Smattering? I wrote smattering. Smattering of new game announcements, and we have to talk about it. From Insomniacs Wolverine to God of War Ragnarok to some Korean character action RPG with a voluptuous yoga pants wearing robot lady called Project Eve. No, not Parasite Eve, completely different. First thoughts right out of the gate, I thought this show was overall very okay. The pacing wasn't great, and it left me with way too many questions than actual answers. If I was just reviewing the last 10 minutes of it, it'd be an A+, but a lot of the first half was good to meh. In my opinion, a Sony show should mostly focus on Sony games, and to not even get more info on Horizon Forbidden West in this is a strange choice. Having the show be 2/3 third-party titles, exclusive or not, is a weird choice, and having all the good stuff at the end made the show feel sluggish. I was honestly really worried heading into the last third when we hadn't seen a single PlayStation Studios game, and thankfully they really made up for it in the end with a few heavy hitters. So starting off the show, we had the classic PlayStation hype commercial, by which I mean 3.5 minutes of wasted time. I swear, someone must have canceled last minute, so they threw their winter YouTube ad in there to fill time. What, not a fan of millennial chess? It's a fun commercial, and there are a ton of cool little Easter eggs, but it's too long for an opening swell piece. Next, we got the reveal of the timed PS5 exclusive Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake by Asper Studios. And now you'd think this would be all hands on deck hype, but this game actually has a pretty big asterisk next to it. You see, Spire Studios is developing this remake from scratch, and if you don't recognize the name Spire, they have been responsible for porting older Star Wars games to modern platforms for the last 5 years. They've also done a lot of ports for like 2K, like Mafia, Borderlands, and Civ. And I'll be honest, their track record for ports is good, just not perfect. Republic Commando last year had a ton of problems on Switch, and Civ 6 never really ran great on consoles. From the looks of it, this is their first major project, and to take on Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, one of the most historically praised RPGs ever, leaves me with a bit of uncertainty. It gives me kind of a Prince of Persia remake vibe, and at least that one had gameplay. Don't get me wrong, I hope they nail it, but I'm not 100% on board until I see what this game actually looks like. Compare that to a Blue Point remake, which I'm always confident is going to be amazing. This announcement felt like using the name of the game alone without addressing what it is actually going to look like for the sake of that pop-off. But we'll get into that whole announcement thing a little later on the show with a couple more announcements. Batting second was the trailer for the Korean action RPG Project Eve, and this game was technically announced in 2019, but it didn't get a ton of attention due to coming from a mobile developer. And I honestly don't know what to think of this one. The game actually looks pretty damn good. The lighting is amazing, the music is fantastic, graphically everything going on here is great. Character model, a little out of place, a little generic, but after watching the trailer a couple more times, there's actually a lot going on in the systems of this game. It feels very, very Bayonetta and very Nier Automata, and those games really managed to pull off this kind of style, so, you know, we'll see if this actually is able to capitalize on everything here. My only real concern is that Shift Up Studios is a mobile game developer, so this is a little above their pay grade. Who knows, maybe they'll come out and make a masterpiece from day one. I would hope so. This looks potentially pretty good. But does she have good earlobes? Hang on, let me scrub through this. Let's see, no. Oh, here we go. Well, that's as good as you're gonna get. Earlobes. Next, we have the gameplay reveal of the Borderlands spin-off Tina's Wonderland, and while I've tried Borderlands 2 and 3 before, they never clicked with me. This take on Borderlands at least feels like something new, and in a genre that clicks with me a little bit more than the post-apocalyptic Mad Maxy style, the Borderlands that we've come to know. And in a style that I like way more than the main games. It's weird that there's this focus on guns instead of melee and magic, but they're clearly using a lot of Borderlands 3 in this to get it out a lot quicker. Nothing too crazy here. We got another trailer and a release window for Forspoken, a game I am very much looking forward to, and I really dig this contrast between Frey, our MC, and the Final Fantasy-like world. So then Forspoken is an isekai. Does that mean Frey will have her own harem? Game looks great, magic looks amazing, and Spring 22 is awesome to hear. The trailer was nice, but it does feel like more of what we got before and not some major new thing. I would like to see a more focused gameplay segment here instead of another montage style piece. Frey is throwing out all these cool magic spells that look really cool, but I'm not actually sure how they translate into a gameplay and combat either. We did get a lot from this though, so I can't fault them too much. After that, Sony paid the bills with a trailer from Rainbow Six Extraction, which is the most detail I can give you about this game. I'm not sure if anything was actually announced here. It just seemed like a chance to remind people that this game is coming. Definitely a kind of low point for me. Next, we had our first look at the Alan Wake remaster, which was announced this week. Why? Why not wait for the showcase? Such a weird choice, and yeah, it's a remaster. Looks like original, but with better textures and lighting, and I don't think this blew anybody away. I know a ton of people are excited to play this, but did a remaster that looks like it should have come out in 2015 need to be at a PS5 show? This is the Sony PlayStation 5 Showcase. Why are we having a remaster for an Xbox 360 game here? It just doesn't make any sense. And next we have easily the worst segment of the entire show. Grand Theft Auto 5 Enhanced. It's a 360 game! 360! But wait, there's more! GTA Online. What the hell, Rockstar? This 3-minute trailer basically only announced that this port is delayed to 2022? I just don't get it. I'm definitely not mad that this is getting ported, but why am I sitting here watching Sony get a big check from Take-Two? This is the definition of this could have been an email, and after coming off a middling Ubisoft trailer and a remaster, this is where the show started to worry me a lot, because unlike the last two shows, which mixed Sony games in between new, keyword new, third-party games and indie games, this has just been a lot of middling updates on known quantities. After that, we had a combo of two games I really want to play, but the trailers kind of disappointed. Guardians of the Galaxy and Ghostwire Tokyo. Now, believe me, I have watched the original trailers for these games multiple times. Other than a small few details, they really didn't add much to what we already know. I equate these to the Wonderland trailer, but for games I'm actually interested in. And with specific regards to the Guardians trailer, they made a lot of jokes here, and not many of them hit. It was a little weird. The first trailer was definitely a lot funnier, and this one was just awkward. Oh, heart attack! Oh!
Wait, what are you doing?
Hell, I think I'm having a heart attack!
Stop that! You're gonna make this video longer than 10 minutes, making it have more ads and giving us better monetization.
Next was the Vampire Battle Royale, Blood Hunt. And next we got another trailer for Deathloop. Now I get it, it's a meme at this point that there are too many trailers for this game, but after a certain point when you know what a game is and you know what it's about, more trailers of the same thing are just kind of a waste of time. I'll be honest, I've been playing Deathloop all weekend, and it's really good. The trailers were worth it. They clearly want this game to do well, but I think you could just have a little short reminder after Ghostwire to say, hey, also Deathloop is coming out next week. Instead, we got the same type of trailer as the last few games, and boy, I really want to play this game, and boy, I do not want to see any more trailers of this one. Then things got a little weird. Kid Amnesia was revealed as this interactive music experience game? It was weird. It was short, it's fine, but I'm not really a fan of these trailers that are meant to confuse the audience so that they have to look it up after the show to find more information. And speaking of which, Uncharted: The Legacy of Thieves Collection, a PS5 remaster of 4 and Lost Legacy. And you know how there is always someone who buys a game full price right before it goes on sale? Well, there's also the person who plays a game right before it gets an enhanced version. They're like a gaming martyr that sacrifices themselves to give the rest of the world a better deal. Heroes, we call them, right, Carbon-Based Bander?
I beat both of these games in the last month.
You're welcome, world. Now, you'd think this would be a time for celebration, but there's a key thing here that's very, very concerning. It has a PC version? Oh, God! My precious exclusives on a personal computer? Disgusting! No, not that it's on PC. I mean, it is coming to PC, but there's something much worse. This is a brand new collection coming to PS5, but we literally received zero details on the enhancements, nor how you purchase it. And with how poorly Sony has handled upgrades recently, I'm not confident this one will be any different. The fact that this is a collection and not two separate releases tells me, 1, there won't be any free upgrade path if you own the games currently, and 2, you might have to buy the entire collection again to get what's essentially going to be a 60 FPS and then fixing 4's janky texture streaming. best case scenario here is that they're hiding the fact that there is a free upgrade to discourage people from buying it right now while the game is cheap. But my guess is that this is going to be a full price upgrade no matter what you own. And I'll be honest, this really sucks. Now I know I skipped Chia, that cute little indie game, but I need to make that segue, so now we can talk about Chia. Revealed at the 2020 Game Awards, Chia is a game set in a small island of Caledonia. You play as a small child who can take control of animals to traverse the world and solve puzzles. It's cute, whimsical, and very charming. I'm into it.
But I was hoping for maybe a couple more indie reveals like we've had in the past, or at the very least, an update on Kina.
But at least, that was all just the pre-show, because Herman Hulse is here to tell us that now the real PlayStation games are coming. While I have been critical up until now, the rest of the show is just fantastic. I do think that the direction to throw a bunch of, let's face it, small updates to third-party games all at the front destroyed the pacing of this show. It also hides the fact that PlayStation Studios itself doesn't have much to talk about. Insomniacs sure does, but if no one else is going to come off the bench to talk about stuff, it's no wonder they had to fill it with third-party. I think the biggest pain point for me is not having to see something from Horizon. I feel like we've seen so little on this massive open-world RPG coming out in a handful of months. Obviously they can share more later, but it does feel like a missed opportunity. Alright, no more complaining, let's get to the good stuff. Now I made a prediction in last week's video that Insomniac would not have anything to say at this showcase, and I was so unbelievably wrong that it hurts. Number 12, we won't get anything about Spider-Man 2.
That's all I needed for him to do that, and it became personal with me.
Is it Logan? Is this Wolverine? That's Wolverine! Insomniac, stop! Stop! Insomniac! Jesus! Insomniac, stop it! 2 games! To not only come out with something to say, but to make me genuinely speechless is what these shows are all about. It never occurred to me that Insomniac would take up another Marvel property, and for it to not only feel different, but excite me more than the next Spider-Man game. Insomniac describes this to be a more mature, dark, dramatic game. And dog, if they're making Last of Us Wolverine, I am so in. It's Insomniac, of course they're gonna nail it. Next up, a little cool down after that little adrenaline rush. Gran Turismo 7 shows off some of the amazing ray trace reflections and the menu, I guess? I'm not a racing guy, so none of this did anything for me. I also thought the trailer was a little slow, and I thought it could use a little either more in the HUD racing or more cuts. I don't know which, but I'm not sure what they actually revealed here because there wasn't even a release date here. Even though they talked about it in the blog later? I feel like Sony makes these trailers so ahead of the time that they don't actually know what the dates are, so they skip it and then post it later when they do. It's super weird. Now next, of course, Insomniac went for the jugular as they tricked everyone into thinking that we were getting an Infamous game, but no, it's actually Spider-Man 2. And can I just say how right I was about this game being both about Miles and Peter? So many people throwing shade about how, oh, Miles only gets the side game instead of the main entry, when clearly the second game would of course be playing as both. Validation feels so good. Just fuels my massive ego. Thanks, Insomniac. Game is out in 2023, which leads me to believe that Disney is starting to push a movie-style system on their game announcements. Because this, Wolverine, Ubisoft Star Wars game, the KOTOR remake, Indiana Jones, have all been announced very, very early. It's nice for cool announcements, but it does feel strange that the biggest announcements are 2023 and beyond. Wolverine is being made by the Miles team, so that's even further than Spider-Man, presumably. Obviously, I'm excited to have Spider-Man get a solid date, and even more excited to see this game's in action in about a year or so. Lastly, the show ended with the big one, God of War Ragnarok. A beautiful gameplay and story trailer with tons of bits and bobs shown off. New lighting, graphics, brand new locales, traversal options, abilities, enemy types, characters, and probably what has to be one of the coolest tracks in God of War. Take a listen to this.
Odin seemed pretty keen on seeing he wasn't found.
If he's out there, we gotta find him.
Come in.
It feels so energized for God of War, but fits so well. My god, this was a trailer. And after the fact, we got a bunch of confirmations on voice talent and some story beats, which I really appreciated. Stuff like that is perfect for the after show instead of a release date, which surprisingly is absent from this trailer, which my guess is that they don't want to say 2022, only to have to delay it to 2023. They definitely want to hit 2022, but like Horizon, they don't want to have to backtrack on it later on. I think we'll get 2022 here, but I'm okay if the game has to be pushed. It's very important that this game gets the time it needs. So that was PlayStation's big 2021 showcase. Lots to love, couple things to bash on, but most of it just felt okay, and for something like a State of Play, a Nintendo Direct, and one of Xbox's massive showcase, it's okay to have a lot of filler. It's fine because we get a lot of them. For the once-a-year PlayStation Showcase, however, it leaves me feeling a bit disappointed. Obviously, my standards for these shows are way higher than most of the other things in this industry, but that doesn't change the fact that the two shows in 2020 were far and away more exciting than this one. More indie game reveals, third-party segments had actual new game announcements, not just updates, and the shows were mostly dominated by PlayStation Studios games. I still think my mood would have shifted had they brought us a bit more of Horizon, especially after the bad press of last week with how PS5 upgrades work, and overall, the show gets a B from me. It's not bad by any means, in fact, it's pretty good even. It had 3 of the most impressive trailers for the entire year. It just either needed more PlayStation games, or to be shortened up a little. If they had come out with 30 minutes of a show, it would have not only fixed the pacing, but the expectations that this is not going to be as groundbreaking as the June or September show, and it would have made what we did get a lot better. I guess the final thing to note is, does this actually matter for my current view of PlayStation, and more specifically PlayStation 5? I think it's pretty obvious that it doesn't. Let's face it, these shows are nice, but it's not like it changes the fact that we have Deathloop, Death Stranding, and Kena coming this month. We also have a handful of cool indie titles throughout the year, and some great third-party titles as well. Sure, you can get the third-party titles on Xbox as well, but there's still a good reason to turn your console on. The first half of 2022 is looking insane for PlayStation right now. Horizon, Gran Turismo 7, Ghostwire, Forspoken, Sifu, Stray? And not to mention the already stacked year we've had since launch. It's been a great year for PlayStation games, and that's during a pandemic. So with all that behind us, the PlayStation 2021 showcase gets a B for me. Poor pacing, bland third-party trailers, but some S-tier first-party reveals. But PlayStation itself is still killing it. Now, with all that said, Carbon-Based Banner, do you have any final thoughts? Remember back in June when you got a court summoning to explain why you thought Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart was the most important PlayStation game of all time? Yes? Well, take a look at this. Enhance. Enhance. Oh!